Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make this beautiful maxi skirt. So this has variety of options when it comes to construction. You can do away with the fringes, as you'll see later on. I'll be giving some options within the video, and it's a multicolored skirt. So you're going to pick out your colors. Personally, I used a total of 9 colors and I did a total of 2 rows per color, all the way going down while repeating the same exact sequence of colors. That's why it looks like a planned piece of some sort. I didn't just get random colors to just place them all over the place. So the fringe on the side and then the slit on the side of the skirt, that's what we are going to get in this tutorial. And this skirt is currently matched with the starfish halter top. You can go ahead and find the tutorial on my channel as well. I'll be linking the video in the description box below. So let's see what our outfit looks like, guys. Let me know in the comment section if you already like what you're seeing, and let's jump right into the materials. Alright guys, so for the materials I used a measuring tape, a 3mm crochet hook, a darning needle, a pair of scissors, and the yarn that I used for this project is Robin. It is a fingering weight yarn. So I used about 1 ball of each color. As I had mentioned earlier on, I did a total of 9 colors and I just needed 1 ball of each color, and each color is each ball of yarn is 300 yards. So that's multiplied by 9, and that is about 2,700 yards. But trust me, I don't even think each ball got done. Just to be on a safe side, I just made sure I had 1 ball of each color that I used for the actual skirt. So as you can see here, I worked with a small sample so that we can have the full footage onto this screen here that we are working with. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had, the rows are really long. And yeah, I'm going to demonstrate with a small swatch and then I will introduce the actual skirt. So we are going to start off with our foundation chain. Our foundation chain should be able to stretch to our hip circumference. And for my actual skirt, I started off with a chain of 177. So for this stitch, the multiple should be a multiple of 6 plus 9 chains. And for my starting chain of the actual skirt, I did a total of 177 chains for a hip circumference of 40 inches. But do whatever you have to do in order to get a chain that can stretch to your hip circumference. And for the sample here, I did a total of 69 chains. Remember, the starting chain should be a multiple of 6 plus 9 chains. So let's get started. You're going to start off with a slip knot and with your very first color. For me, that is baby pink. And we work this project from top to bottom. So from the waistline all the way down to the feet, depending on how long you want your skirt to be. So make your starting chain or your foundation chain should be a multiple of 6 plus 9 chains. So let me go ahead and make mine. So I have my 69 chains here, and as I had mentioned earlier on, this is just a small sample. We shall introduce the actual skirt later on. So once you have your multiple of 6 plus 9 chains that stretches to your hip circumference, you are going to go into the 9th chain from the hook. So you count from this one, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9, and you're going to place a shell. So a shell for this design is 1 double crochet, sorry, 2 double crochets. A shell is 2 double crochets into the same exact chain. Chain 1 and 2 more double crochets into the same exact chain, as you can see here. Now you're going to make a chain of 1, skip over 5 chains, 1 2 3 4 5, and into the 6th you're going to place a shell, which is 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 more double crochets into the same exact chain, just like that. So we are going to repeat this all the way across. Chain 1, skip 5 chains, 1 2 3 4 5, and into the 6th you're going to place a shell, which is 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 more double crochets into the same exact chain. Chain 1, skip 5 chains, 1 2 3 4 5, into the next chain you're going to place a shell, so repeat this all the way across, and I'll meet you back towards the end of the row. Actually, just repeat that pattern until you have a total of 6 chains left. Alright guys, we've come to the end of the row and I have a total of 6 chains left. You should work your pattern until you have a total of 6 chains left on your row. And you're going to make a chain of 1. And you're going to skip over 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 chains. And into the very final chain, you're going to place a double crochet. So you yarn over, insert your hook into the final chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So that marks the end of row 1. Remember, from the beginning of the project I told you this is just a sample so that you can see everything that's taking place from the beginning to the end of the row. So we're going on to row 2. For my actual piece, I made sure I did a total of 2 rows of each color, so I'm going to demonstrate the same exact process. So for row 2, you're going to make a chain of 5, turn your work. You're going to go into the very first chain 1 space with a single crochet. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all. This will create a very small loop here. And then you're going to make a chain of 2 and place a shell into the next shell. So you go into the chain 1 space of the shell and place a shell. And remember, for this pattern, a shell is 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets. And this is what we have. And then you're going to make a chain of 2 and single crochet into the next chain 1 space. Chain 2, place a shell in the chain 1 space of the next shell. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets. Chain 2, single crochet into the next chain 1 space. So you should notice that the chain 1 space, the single crochets, sorry, are placed in the chain 1 spaces between the shells. So let's go ahead, make a chain of 2 and place a shell into the next shell. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets. So you're going to repeat this all the way across. Chain 2, single crochet in between the shells from the previous row, chain 2, shell into the next shell. So let's keep going until we place a shell into the very last shell of the previous row. Alright guys, I'm almost coming to the end of the row and I'm chaining 2, 1 single crochet into the next chain 1 space, and then making a chain of 2 and placing a shell into the last shell of the previous row. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into the last shell. And then from here you're going to make a chain of 2, and into this very last space here you're going to place 1 single crochet, chain 2, and 1 double crochet into the same space. This is what you'll have at the end of row 2. And as I had mentioned earlier on, I do 2 rows of each color. So once you're done with this, you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. And now we're going to introduce our next color for row 3, because now we have 2 rows of pink. Now for my next color, just as the actual skirt, my next color was pink, and you're going to attach where you left off with your previous color. You're going to attach your yarn into that last double crochet of the previous row. Attach your yarn there, and then you're going to make a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you're going to skip over all this and go into the chain 1 space of the first shell and place a shell. 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into the same space. So what I would advise is don't get rid of these loose ends, because they'll act as the fringe that we want on the side of our skirt. Just leave them hanging like this. So from here you're going to make a chain of 1, skip over the chain 2 loops, and then go into the next shell with a shell. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 more double crochets, and that's the repeat for this row. Chain 1, place a shell into the next shell. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets, and that's all that you're going to do for this row. Chain 1, a shell into the next shell, chain 1, 1 shell into the next shell. Repeat that all the way across until the end of the row, and I'll meet you back at that point. Alright, so I've just placed a shell into the last shell of the previous row, and now I'm going to make a chain of 1, and remember that little loop that we created at the beginning of row 2. Remember that little loop? You're going to go into that chain 5 space with a double crochet. Of course, after chaining 1 here, you place a double crochet into that little loop, and that marks the end of row 3. Let's go on to row 4. I hope you can now see how the pattern is building. For row 4, you're going to make a chain of 5. And row 4 is basically going to be the same as row 2. So make a chain of 5 and turn your work. go into the very first chain 1 space with a single crochet, just like that. Make a chain of 2, place a shell into the next shell, so 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 more double crochets, chain 2, single crochet in the chain 1 space between the 2 shells from the previous row, so you can see where the single crochet is placed. And then make a chain of 2 and place a shell into the next shell. Chain 2, single crochet into the next chain 1 space, chain 2, 1 shell into the next shell. So we're basically repeating the same exact instructions as row 2 for row 4. Do that all the way across and I'll meet you back towards the end of the row. This is what you should have. So we are done placing our last shell into the last shell of the previous row, and this is what we have. And to wind up row 4, you're going to make a chain of 2 and into this last space. All right, after your last shell, you make a chain of 2 and into this last chain 4 space, you're going to place 1 single crochet, make a chain of 2 and 1 more double crochet into the same chain 4 space. And that's how to wind up row 4. So as we had said, row 4 is the same as row 2, and basically we are going to repeat rows 2 and 3. So the fact that row 4 resembles row 2, the next row is going to resemble row 3. And that's when to change colors. So we are going to just repeat the same exact process that we have done for row 3. You make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, and then introduce your next color and work 2 rows. So we are just alternating between rows 2 and 3, 2 and 3. So again and again. So since row 4 resembles row 2, the next row will resemble row 3, and then the next row will resemble row 2, and then the next row will resemble row 3. Keep growing your work, and then let me introduce my actual piece at this point. Alright guys, now this is my actual piece. As you can see here, I used a total of 9 colors. So let's see. As you can see, I started with the same exact pink as I have demonstrated with, and then the white. So I used pink, white, navy blue. This is not black. It appears as black, but it's navy blue. And then a yellow, red, sky blue, lilac, orange, and neon green. And then the sequence repeats itself. You can see the pink starts again: white, navy blue, yellow, red, sky blue, lilac, and then orange and neon green. And then we keep doing that until we have our skirt to run all the way to the feet. We have a total of 80 rows altogether. I know this is going to take a long time, but trust me, the project is worth the wait. And this is what my piece looks like eventually. And also use a different color combination by doing 4 rows of each color, as you can see in this video, and you'll be able to get a different effect. Now we're going to go onto the fringe on the side of the skirt. What I would recommend is to get the colors that you have used for your skirt, and you're going to attach a fringe in each and every row just to make it a little bit thicker, because these fringes that we left behind with the loose ends won't be enough. This will be a very light fringe. So you can go ahead and make, let me say, you get your pink color, and then you can go ahead and cut it. into several pieces, and then get, let me say, 3 strands and attach them on the side of the same exact color. That way the fringe is going to become more visible, as you can see here. So I would advise you do that for each and every color. So when you're done with that, you also attach on the opposite side, and you keep doing that all the way down, all the way to the feet. That way you're going to have a much thicker fringe that is visible on the skirt. Now let's go ahead and work on the waist area of the skirt before I go ahead to do the fringes, because these are going to take me forever. I'm going to first work on the waist area, and then we shall come back to the fringe later on. Alright guys, to work on the waistband of the skirt, so you're going to get the same exact color as your very first row or the foundation chain. Remember, I started off with this baby pink color, and I'm going to get 2 strands of it and make a chain of about 50. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have my 50 chains. This doesn't have to be so long because the skirt is already wide enough. And after your 50 chains, you're just going to go into these chain 5 spaces, and you're going to place a total of 3 single crochets in that space, and then go to the next space with 3 single crochets. This is going to kind of gather the topmost length of the skirt, that stretch at the top of the skirt, because this skirt is worked from top to bottom. So we want to bring in this length a little bit, so that when it comes to tying around the waistline, we don't have a very long length that will look funny or bunch up in the waistline. So try to keep your stitches a little bit on the tighter side. Okay, so we're just going into each and every chain 5 space with 3 single crochets, and these are worked tightly in order to gather the top part of the skirt, as you can see here. So you can see how the skirt is kind of curling up because of the tension of this final row that we are placing. That's perfectly fine. Don't try to stretch it out. Just go all the way across doing this, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Alright guys, we are done cleaning up the top edge of our skirt. Alright, so when you make it all the way across, you're still going to make a chain of 50 or whichever number of chains that you did on this side. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have my 50 chains on this side as well, and you should notice a drastic change between the distance that we had across the top of the skirt before and what we have now. This is kind of like a gathered sort of distance, and before it was much longer than this. So this is the one that's going to be tied around the waistline, and we are going to tie it on the side like this. Now for the larger sizes, you may consider placing a total of 4 single crochets into the chain 5 spaces so that this doesn't gather up so much. Take note of that. If you feel like this is a little bit on the tighter end, then you're going to have to adjust this length by increasing the number of single crochet stitches that you are placing into the chain 5 spaces. So after this, you can go ahead and cut off the excess yarn at this point, just like this. And then this is the knot that's going to be tied on the side of the skirt. Now I'm going to go ahead and just keep attaching fringes onto my skirt, just as I had mentioned earlier on. Alright guys, this is what our skirt looks like after finishing up everything. As you can see, I went ahead to attach fringes on the sides of the rows, and this is not so dramatic. I didn't go into each and every row. I skipped a row and then attached a fringe onto the next row, all the way down to the feet. And you can decide how much or the density of the fringe that you want for your skirt, but for me, this is what I've gone for. You can also go ahead to iron the fringe in order for it to appear flat if you wish. And that's basically it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, guys. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.